Since it's 10 o'clock, we're going to start Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour number 145. I'm coming to you from Asheville, North Carolina today. You can throw a spotlight on me, Jim, if you want to. I think I'm spotlighted for all of you. And with me here is my old friend, Rick Mastelli, who was my colleague at Taunton Press 40 years ago. And he went on to make videos for Taunton Press. And then in the 90s sometime, Rick was, what years?
I was at 93 or 94 to 98. I just figured out.
Rick was editor of American Woodturner for the AAW. He was actually AAW's first professional editor. So I'm visiting with Rick down here in Hendersonville, North Carolina. And just to make you all jealous, we had lunch with David Ellsworth and his wife yesterday. And today we are going to show you the collection of turnings that Rick has accumulated in his years working for AAW and banging around the woodworking scene. He's got a marvelous collection of some really precious little pieces. Rick himself is not a turner. He's a spoon carver. Well, we got them all clicking in here. I'm seeing 42 on screen so far. We'll probably get up to 49 or 50. So that's what we're going to do today is look at Rick's collection of stuff and discuss it. And you're, of course, always welcome to ask lots of questions. If you brought stuff to show and tell today, I doubt we'll get any time for you. I think we're going to fill the hour with this. So you're just going to have to come back next week and show your stuff. Let's see. Where do you want to start?
Hello.
Tell us about your time when you were editor. What was the AAW like then?
I'm sorry. I went back to thinking of my time as editor at Fine Woodworking magazine in my head, which certainly led to that. By the time I'm going now in two directions. So by the time mid 1990s, I had left Taunton in 90, I think it was. So I was there for 10 years. And I was a freelancer and doing all kinds of publishing things and working with a graphic designer who also worked at Taunton Press. And we were looking for work. And they, I don't remember the exact way that came about, but we got a gig to edit and produce, lay out, bring to the printer and manage the magazine. And I did that for 5 years or so.
Well, how big was AAW at the time? Do you remember?
I think it was
it's about
probably about a quarter of the size it is now.
Well, it's about 15,000 now.
Oh, well, it was more than a couple of thousand.
More than a couple thousand.
Yeah, it was maybe 5.
But the magazine, the journal was black and white then.
The journal was black and white, and it had been handed off to me by Betty Scarpino. By the way, since this is a bowl by Betty Scarpino. Is that coming in?
No, hold it up. Hold it in front of you.
In front of me.
Yeah, just hold it here.
Yeah, I have these sort of objects are part of different phases of things. When she left, or when I left, there, I don't remember which. She gave me this as a thank you for that participation.
The thing to notice about it, you bring it right in here. The whole back, these are all grooves, beads that are about 1/8 of an inch apart, all the way along it. It's beautifully done. I don't know how she ever did it.
Yeah, the inside is it's got a nice rounded edge.
Feels good, yeah.
And the inside is smooth, but the outside is textured that way. And the other thing about it, and I think I could run and get it.
Don't go
I
running
have a note from her about it. I think she bleached this. She was doing color. This is ash.
Yeah.
And so she took a lot of the contrast between the grain there out, muting it. It's
a nice piece.
Yeah, it's a very nice piece.
We're good for questions anytime, but you're just going to have to jump in. Show us that thing there.
Oh, well, this is a jump ahead to one of the auctions at the conference in the mid 1990s. This that was raising funds for the AAW, and it is a I don't know what the wood is, but it
looks like cherry to me.
It looks like it could be. Yeah, it's some big chunk of wood that I checked, and it was turned obviously off center. and a sculptural thing. And
it's a beautiful thing.
it was done by a young man named, I believe, Remy, R-E-M-Y, Verchant, V-E-R-C-H-A-N-T. He was probably 19 years old or something. And I don't know if you know Jean-Francois Escalin.
Yeah, the guy who makes golf clubs.
He was a student of his. And that was his first conference he came to, and he donated it, and I bought it, and
Beautiful piece.
it is really a beautiful piece.
If I was going to steal one piece, it might be that one.
Right. John thinks it's going to break, but it's not.
Show us something else.
Well, going back to one of the things that AEW, halfway through the editing of magazine, I introduced the idea of doing videos. I did video a number of the symposiums with another cameraman I'd worked with, and we did instant gallery, and all of those were on tape at one point, VHS tape. I don't know
It's not available
if they're available anymore, because the VHS tape format, of course, didn't translate very well to digital. But this was a bowl that was done as the first instructional video the AAW did with Russ Hurt, who was the organization's first treasurer. And he was up near Duluth in northern Minnesota. And I spent a week there roughing out the idea of this thing. Was Introduction to Bowl Turning was the working title of it.
We didn't have scroll chucks then, did they?
I don't think so, no. And John mentioned this before. I believe I can picture in my mind that the turning of the bottom, which is concave, with a soft foot on the tailstock, maybe a piece of leather or something between it to firm it up, turn very slowly, and then coming in gently.
What was holding the inside of it?
It was a foam cone.
Okay.
Here.
So
with the tailstock pressing it.
There was really nothing holding that on the leg.
Right, except the compression between the headstock and the
I think some of you guys probably remember when we did stuff that way.
Well, let's see the profile. That was turned green probably. It looks like it worked.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, you can
I
see
can see where the pith went through it.
Yeah. See that little.
It's just off the pit.
Yeah.
The camera is, it's like working in a mirror backwards here, but yeah, so I can line it up there for you.
Dare I say, John, that some of us still do some of that way. So.
I would think you would.
Well, you do, Doug, anyway, I know.
Well, the point of the matter is, if I have an awkward shape of a bowl, or if it's not really wanting to hold on any other stock, putting that leather down and then going in nicely like that is the best way to do it. So
right. This is inscribed. I can't read it quite, but
it's a beautiful piece.
Yeah. And it was turned green. I think it's birch, or maybe.
It looks like birch. Yeah, I bet it's yellow birch. What else you got?
What else I got? There's I can move the camera. Can we?
Oh, yeah, you can go to that camera. Okay. Yeah, so spotlight the second camera if you would, Jim.
Yep.
Yeah. I can
spotlight both. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do.
Over here. One of the I reported to various people over the time there in terms of board members who Phil Pratt for a long time, Robert Roseanne.
You guys all know, most of you guys know Robert Roseanne.
And we did a second video, Rob and I, I think it was titled Turning Projects from Scrap. And these three are from them. This is, I don't remember what he called this, but it is not, doesn't open. It's just basically a sculptural form with two species. And this is solid there. It's solid. It's not hollow.
It's a ring holder.
It's a ring holder, of course. That's, I remember. You're right. Yes, yes. Thank you.
Roseanne was fabulous at designing and making these beautiful little things that other people could make. Really a good project designer. Yeah, and these were quick, and he did production. The place we worked was just full of this inventory, so to speak. This is an alcohol lamp. Is probably bored out with a large bit. Big Forstner, yeah. A Forstner bit, and then it's decorated really nicely with a smaller
texture over here, and then the larger coves over here.
How many of you guys know Bob Roseanne? Who remembers Bob Roseanne? A lot of guys in PA know Bob. He's still alive. I think he's not well, though. He lives up in Wilkes-Barre.
I met him in Louisville on the street.
Great
just
guy.
outside the bat factory.
Rick,
Great teacher.
This is a little box. Nothing in it.
That's a nice piece. Hold still now. Waving it around don't work. Hold still so we can see it. Yeah, beautiful little piece.
Rick, you used the term sculptural. Is that in deference to functional, or what did you mean by that? I need
regarding this piece.
Well, you mentioned another piece there. You said it's kind of sculptural, and I wondered what you were trying to indicate.
No, I don't remember using that word, so I'm not gonna defend it.
Oh, okay.
But speaking of sculptural, this is another piece which was not turning wood from scrap. You can probably tell that. This is a burl that's rough, live edge.
Is that Bob Roseanne as
It
well?
is Bob Roseanne.
That's a beautiful piece.
And this, I got a lot of thank you pieces, you know. I mean, you work together with a person for a week or two in hot lights and long hours. And I get the video and this too.
We've got some guys on here who are burl turning specialists, like Toby Booter, but that's a beautiful piece there.
Enough, yes?
Yeah, go to something else.
Well, along the lines of projects, I don't remember how I acquired these, but it's one piece as it's originally turned someplace in here.
You said Mike Hoseluk made that.
Yeah, Mike has also done a lot of pieces this scale and kind of production pieces, and I thought was pretty creative doorstops.
I remember the article about that.
What's that?
I remember reading the article about making those.
Thank you. Yes, a lot of these things came from the author sending me stuff so I could figure out what we were editing to photograph it better. It was probably these pieces that were photographed in that article. And that was American Woodturner, right? That wasn't Fine Woodworking.
No, it was American Woodturner.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the times in getting an article together, you got to get the work into a photo studio, and we're working in long range with people. It means, okay, mail us the work. We take a real good picture of it. And sometimes it never gets back. Sometimes they say, well, why don't you just keep it?
Smaller pieces too. This piece, I visited Ernie Conover.
Is Ernie on today? Ernie, are you there? I think he's teaching this week.
It's a nice little box. And it's got a bit of a finish on it. You can see the sheen on it. And at the top, I'll try a close up here. Can you see that it is chattered?
It's chattered, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see that. Oh, hold it right like that. Yeah. Yeah. And when do you think that was done? How long ago? Like in the early 90s?
Yes. Yeah, early 90s.
30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it still looks good.
This accompanied my first taste of single malt scotch. It's 93, John.
If you visit Ernie Conover, that's what you're going to get, a single malt scotch. Ernie's going to do, by the way, you guys who are members of the Lancaster Club, Ernie is our demonstrator this month, and next Tuesday is the monthly club meeting. He's going to, you know, we've had a lot of attention on Barry and his spiral jigs. Ernie's going to show us how to make a spiral turning without any jigs.
I'm trying to line up the grain here. There you go. Okay, another box similar, which I have in my collection. And when I showed this to John, he said, "Who did that?" And I said, "You did."
And I don't remember. I don't remember making it, and I don't remember giving it to you.
Well, it's got a really nice fit. It's one of those soft, increasing kind of.
That was before I got into magnets.
Yes, no, there's no magnets in it. You don't even have to plug it in. What's the date on that? Can I see it? Oh, sorry.
2006, 16.
Yeah. Okay. And just to finish this out, my last visit with John had me leave with this.
Oh yeah, well that's yew wood that I got from Don Brubaker in our club. I love turning yew. I never knew it was such wonderful turning wood.
Yeah, tell me about this finish, John. It's the glossiest object I have in my collection.
Oh, it'll have a little squirt of lacquer on it from the lathe and then wiped off hard and then buffed and waxed.
Okay.
And that's not, it's a very fragile finish.
I can comb my hair.
Yeah, you pretty much can.
Um,
I like the be all system. It just gets a nice, nice smooth finish.
Is this visuals good enough for this, for what I'm doing now, John?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. That's
okay,
an amazing piece. You guys who are ornamental turners will remember
you may
this.
recognize as the work of Gorst Duplessis.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see how, do you have any idea how he did that?
No, I don't even know how ornamental turning works, to tell you the truth. I mean, I know it from pictures, but not from actually watching it.
I think there's some sharp little fly cutter going on that does each of those flutes.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Was an anesthesiologist in New Orleans, and this was his hobby. And you go to a conference, I'm sure I wasn't the only one, and he would just come up to you and sidle over, and then his hand was closed, and then he'd move it over to your hand, and he'd put this in it and smile and say, "It's yours."
Rich Colvin, you probably remember Gorst Duplessis. Did you know him?
actually, I never met him, and I really regret that. But he was amazing, and we're going to have actually set up at the AAW conference. We're going to have some rose engines set up in the vendor area. So if you want to see how it works, we'll be able to show you.
Cool.
Besides all, the design of it is really creative. Like, you wouldn't think of a triangular form like that. I don't know. I've never seen anything.
So he's famous for making this triple finial where you had 3 finials coming up together and almost a rod. And the story of how he made it was that he was had a student over there, and he said, "Just keep going in until I tell you to stop." And he was watching football at the time and getting more wine, and came back out, and the guy had cut through and made triple finials, and it was entirely by mistake because Gorst didn't tell him to stop.
Ray Simmons, you probably know Gorst as well. Do you remember him?
Yes, I do, John.
Did you know him? Did you know him, Ray?
Yes, I met him at a symposium, and interesting individual.
Going with small stuff still. Anybody remember Harvey Helmke from Texas? He was a lace bobbin turner, and I think his wife did this kind of work.
Yeah, they use that. Yeah, lace work and tatting. No, mostly lace work.
And so each of these would be turned to a different design to identify the lace that it moved. So you could see from the detailing, you wouldn't have to look at the thread itself as you work the stuff. I never made lace, so I don't know the details of that. But and then the smallest piece, another small piece. This is a postcard that's sent to me from Mark Salwasser, Salwaser. He did a series of bullets in response to what we are experiencing regularly. And they're all actual munition, scale and detailing.
They're not hollow. There's no
hollow. It's not a box.
There's no powder in there.
It's just a bullet. And now this one in the background, and I'll zoom out a little. This is one of the nicest bowls I have. It is curly birch, and it is turned by Luke Mann, an American Woodturner that I edited. Luke was a neighbor of mine in central Vermont. He lived in the Mad River Valley, and I lived outside of Montpelier. And he did a couple of articles we did together. This is his logo, by the way. And this one was, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was basically production bowl turning, the steps that begin with gathering wood, storing wood, green turning, seasoning, finish turning, finishing, and I think it was 7, 8 steps, and they were all accompanied by great photography. He had put it together. Anybody remember that article? That would be in 1998.
Oh, these guys are all too young for that.
The inside is remarkably wavy as it has dried, and the outside too. This is all buckled, you know, and it's a great size for a 4-people salad or more. And he did another article on rims, and he did a whole variety of cross sections of rims. If this one has a return of the inner curve to a kind of arris here, and then a concavity across the top, and then the outside form just comes to a vertex here.
So these are all from the days when the journal actually had articles about how to do turning.
What do you do now? I haven't read it recently.
Well, it's lots of art.
Art. I introduced a lot of that. Anyway,
What do you think the finish is on that? It looks like beeswax to me.
Yeah, I think he did. Yes. As a matter of fact, John, he sold a beeswax finish, or gave it away with to certain customers, I guess.
Beeswax makes a characteristic soft luster that piece has.
Yeah. Yeah, nice stuff, right? This
Yeah.
is really nice. This is I have used this bowl, but I leave it now. I don't eat salad with enough people to utilize its capacity. Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's moving the camera. Anybody got any questions, or should
Yeah.
we just carry on? Or comments?
I think the bullet was really powerful.
Yeah.
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 It makes you think, that's for sure. Yeah.
Another grouping here on this plate. These are all turned by, can anyone guess? On this
Richard Raffin.
Yes, they're Richard's. That's a production turn, a scoop of his. I worked with Richard on 2 books and 1 video at Taunton Press before the American Woodturner experience. I edited the revision of bowl turning, and then the art of bowl turning, the more aesthetic design oriented thing.
That's a beautiful little scoop. He made it in all sizes, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, this would be turned very quickly, and on screen, you know, you had to keep up with him, because you had to have the camera in the right place, because as soon as it came off the lathe, it went to the bandsaw and it wasn't round anymore. A box, I believe I bought from Richard when he visited Taunton Press. He actually would bring inventory and sell it wherever he went.
Well, Richard always had a suitcase full of work with him.
Yeah. And this was an experiment on his part, turning green, and it is not round.
Hold still.
Can you see the ovalness of it?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't, when it lines up, it comes apart easily. If you crank it a little, you can't get it to 90 degrees, because, well, you can, I guess,
Well,
but not quite. It's really tight.
That's poor man's magnets there.
The inside has a little tip at the bottom.
Yeah, I thought it was always a really nice detail. Most of us worked really hard to get rid of that.
Yeah.
Richard made a feature
Well,
of
Richard would think differently
Yeah.
about it. Moving on, you know. Although it's really well done.
Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
at the bottom, of course, is perfectly, there's no tip down there.
You know, that wasn't drilled out, that was turned out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Richard always did those things with back hollowing, which is something I've never been able to learn. But he has a
Right.
way of going in there, and the tool is up on the upper right hand quadrant of the work, and scoops the wood out in no time.
A little bowl.
Nice little piece.
Yeah, so I can hold this. Yeah, with a, it's got, whoops. I wanted to just hold it like that. It's got a substantial plinth on it. And it's one of these sort of monumental forms in miniature.
Very nice.
Especially with the grain, the way the grain's been worked.
Do you know where the finish is on that?
No. But I don't think it's anything more than just a wax.
And where do you think that was turned in? Where was that in the tree? When it was in the tree, where was it?
The tree was,
Like
the
that.
center was here,
Right,
that way.
that looks right. That gives you
That's
that
end
little,
grain.
that gives you that little sapwood on the sides. Yeah. Nice little piece.
And I'm not sure what the species is. It's, you know,
Could have been one of those Australian woods that nobody
It
could.
looks like
Right.
laburnum.
what is it?
Laburnum.
Laburnum. Oh, could
Hmm.
be.
Could be.
Yeah, it looks like a shrubby kind of thing because of the tight grain in there. It's not a big tree, but it's a slow growing tree.
Rich Colvin has put in the chat a link to a video of those triple finials, ornamental turn finials.
Again, going to small projects, these are lamp poles.
Nice.
There's a hole right through all the way. And you would put a knot at the other end, and that concavity there would hold the knot.
Yeah.
And then the weight of this, it's got a weight to it, so it'll hold the thing steady or straight. And this is a smaller one, also with a hole in it.
So with two different ones of those, you'd actually be able to tell which is the fan and which is the light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a chance to just experiment with little forms, variety, and probably sell more. I have no idea what he would charge for something like this.
Not very much. Don, you got a raised hand there. You got a question or a comment?
What I've got is a piece of laburnum just to show you, to tie up with that piece that is being shown. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, we can spotlight. Jim, can you put a spotlight on it for a sec?
I'm sorry, I can't see this. I come over there.
Yeah, come on over here. You can see it. Yeah, you're probably right. That does look like the same wood. That's laburnum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's got a wavy transition from heartwood to sapwood that this other one has a very regular form.
The other one's the one that Rick has a little redder in color. You look like you're a little darker in color, but it's nice looking.
Well, this is 1980. So it's gone darker as the time's gone on.
Uh-huh.
And it's only 1.5 mil thick.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I came over to look at that image because I realized that I'd almost forgotten to talk about the breadboard. But before I do that, there's this.
Oh, we got some top makers on this call.
And it's this could be ebony, or what do you think?
It's something like that. Ebony or catalogs, maybe. Mike Peace put up a comment about, what are you asking us to check out, Mike?
Am I waiting for that?
No.
Okay. This was part of the project's video that we did. I gotta get, let me
His YouTube, Richard Raffin's YouTube channel.
This is Richard Raffin.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike is just recommending we all go to Richard's YouTube channel, and he's right. We should all go to Richard's YouTube channel. That's a breadboard?
It's a breadboard. And the interesting thing about this is that, yeah, I think that's just some chalk or something on it.
Yeah.
I don't. Nothing.
Let's see the other side. Yeah.
The other side is interesting because he decided it was all right to simply plug the screw hole. This went on a screw chuck.
Huh.
I thought that was a little weird at the time, but that was.
Well, that's what we used to do with everything. It's a nicely
really
detailed breadboard, though. I bet it feels good in the hand.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's really substantial. I think it's mahogany.
How long ago did he do that?
Well, this was done in the early 1980s. No, late 1980s.
Yeah, 30 years, 35 years.
Oh, about what is the diameter of that?
This is maybe 10 inches.
10 or 11, yeah. That's a very doable project too. I'm going to make one of those.
What's nice about it is that it's, it's relieved here. So you've got you can see that it would lift off the table.
Yeah.
So it's got a sort of presentation to it. And it's smooth at the bottom. So on this table, it's moving. But, if you put cheese on that, it wouldn't move around while you cut it.
Yeah. I'm just going to note here, we have 50 people on screen right now.
And where are we in time?
We're halfway through.
Oh, good, good. This is the best aspect of the collection I have. And maybe you can guess who this all has to do with?
I bet they can.
Oh, that's right. Most people don't know about this guy.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't turned in so long.
Yeah.
All right, this is Del Stubbs.
Yeah. Del Stubbs, Rick and I both agree, was one of the best turners we ever met. And he doesn't turn anymore. He makes carving knives somewhere in Wisconsin.
It's actually Minnesota.
Okay, all same.
It's way up north. I visited him about 3-4 years ago. He makes knives in production. I can show you some of those momentarily. Yeah. But these all came, not most of them came from a video we did for Taunton Press called Bowl Turning with Del Stubbs. And this is featured in the video, not being turned, but in a collection of turnings that he talks about design in. And this represented a live edge and turning green and fresh and just taking it off the lathe. And I don't think, is it possible he didn't second turn this? I don't.
Yeah, no, I think he's probably not second.
I don't think he second turned.
I'm pretty sure he didn't. That's one.
No, that's why it's, It is what it is.
But what I always like about Del's work is the detail of the foot, for example. Everything he does has these beautiful details. I mean, that's just a beautiful foot.
And this was done very briefly. He was with me for 3 weeks. The first week we spent mostly finding a costume for him because he came. I picked him up at the bus station with a laundry bag. And setting up the shop. It was the first video I did in the Taunton Press shop. I had done video with Del in his shop, but it was a Quonset hut full of sawdust and with no place to bounce light off of. So it was that was sort of an experiment in my first video work with Tom. And so when we decided to do this, as one of the first 5 videos we did, he came to visit and we spent 3 weeks together. The first week was just prepping. Anyway, that he turned from wood that we gathered from my yard in Connecticut. It's red oak.
That's again more than 40 years ago.
This is in the mid-1980s.
Yeah.
And then he turned a series of things in the video, and the video is still available, so you can go see these things being made. This was a classic form. He talked about Greek vases and
again, the details on that, the little foot and the little rim are just beautifully done, just exquisite. Not a shred of torn grain in there, except maybe in that foot a bit.
I met Dale at the first wood turning symposium I went to. I think Albert Lecoq put it on. It was his first two, and we met there and became friends.
I really like that rim detail, as well as the silhouette of that bowl. Hold it so we can see the silhouette, the whole
of the hole.
Yeah, hold a little back a bit. Yeah, there. Yeah, that's just a beautiful shape.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful shape in a featureless wood. I mean, this piece is about the shape, not about the wood grain.
Right.
And we have a lot of, a lot of people are very heavy into the wood figure, and a lot of people are very heavy into the shape. And it's kind of nice to just focus on one or the other. One of the things that I have a lot of trouble with is beautifully shaped things with outrageous grain. You can't really focus on either one sometimes.
I think it's pear.
Looks like pear.
It's
maybe
very,
apple.
very smooth grain type grain. And then on the other side of from the classical shape, he contrasted this in the design section of the tape as a more oriental form.
Well, I have a thing from Japan that looks very much like that, and is about that thin too. That thing's under 1 millimeter thick.
This is so thin, it's almost like parchment here.
Yeah.
And
is it the same thinness all the way down to the bottom?
It is the same thinness all the way down to the bottom. And it's got a roughness to the surface that's not from tear, it's from just, you can feel the fibers of the wood as you move it one way than the other. They rise one way and they're smooth the other way. It's almost like I got a hairy feel inside.
Do you remember what he was using as a gouge? Was he using a bull gouge or a spindle gouge? Or fingernail gouge?
I think it was a fingernail.
Yeah, I don't think we really had bull gouges.
How did he hold that to turn off the bottom and make the bottom on it?
I believe it was similar to what we were describing before. There's no way you could compress this or press this. It's got to be very delicately held like this and then come in very softly.
Very softly indeed.
Is that an end grain turning?
Yes. Yes, it is. I remember now that's exactly what it is. The heart is over here on well, I guess the left. And the sapwood is over here. No, maybe maybe it's the opposite. No, what isn't it?
That's a side grain.
Yeah. But I mean, this light suggests sapwood, but I can't imagine.
Okay, where do you think that was in the tree? Duck, where do you think it was?
Sideways in the tree with the sapwood at the base.
The sapwood is the base. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's not an end grain turning, it's a face grain.
No, it's a side grain turning, yeah.
That the pith right there?
I don't think.
No, wait a second, you're wrong.
Maybe
that's the pith right there.
Yeah.
Oh, it is end grain turning, yeah.
It is end grain.
Yeah.
It's a branch.
It's a branch.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
It's a branch. And there's another branch coming through it.
All knots radiate from the pith.
Amen.
Talking about end grain turnings, that's
not an end grain turning either.
It is an end grain turning.
No, it's got a bark rim.
Well, that's because that's because it's a branch and that's the whole bark.
Oh, I see. Yes, it is end grain turning. Yeah.
That's the pith.
Yeah. And again, that one's about 1 millimeter thick as well, or less.
And the bark is intact, completely around, a lovely shape.
You can see light through it.
And you can see light through it.
beautiful form and shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did this under the last night we taped. We worked from morning till after 3 in the next morning. And when he was all done, and we were striking the set and we were exhausted, he chucked a length of ebony about 5 inches into a scroll chuck and turned off. Let me take the cover off this.
Yeah.
I don't want to hold. My fingers are a little
Leave it in the box,
here.
but hold it still.
So
there. Now, is that hollow too?
Yes.
How did he make the hollow? What did he? I remember he said you make little things with big tools. How did he do the hollow?
With a miniature gouge.
Huh.
It's hard to get it to stabilize there. It's so light.
So tiny.
It is ebony. He turned it the concavity first. He hollowed it first. Then he shaped the outside of the thing, and he came down to that whole stem. He cut the base off, and then he parted it off. He took it off the lathe, done, and put it on the way of the lathe at the far right, and turned off 3 more and gave 1 to each member of the crew.
I used an oboe now for the hollowing out.
Repeat. What was the question? I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, was that you, Don? What did you say?
I use an oboe now shaped to hollow out the vessel's center.
I'm going to try to just tilt it here so you can.
Yeah, just an oboe now, which is small enough because I've got one here. It's much smaller than that one. I could show you in a moment. I'll get it out.
Okay. Clifton, you got your hand up. You got a comment you want to make or a question?
Well, I had a question. I kind of want to revisit the Richard Raffin box, but I certainly don't want to stop this.
Well, we can go back. We can get it back.
I'm going to go to Adele Stubbs' box, and then we can segue that way.
I'd like to go back to Richard when you get a moment, just to look at the join on. It just looked like an interesting join on the Richard Raffin box. But keep going. You have a see. There's a bevel instead of a. I like. Okay, I just want to see that little bevel detail.
Yeah, hold still.
That hold is. Still. I like that. I like that.
That's one of the things that characterizes Richard's work and also Del Stubbs is this amazing attention to beautiful little details. And they come and you look at it and you say, oh, so obvious. Why didn't I think of that? But you didn't.
Right. That's fascinating. I just like that. Thank you so much for going back to that.
And he always has a long spigot for it that kind of vacuum fit with a belly on it. So once it pops on, the lid generally rotates freely, but there's friction pulling it off and putting it on. That's his characteristic on boxes.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That was really nice. The other thing, that little goblet you just showed, had a detail also. The little tiny bevel at the bottom where it sits on the table.
That's right. A little kick there.
And some of these things you just don't see, but they just are perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's what tells a master turner from us, wood butchers.
All right, that's it for me. But thank you for going back to that.
I noticed something when I looked at this. I want to mention one of the things I appreciate about Richard's work is it's far from perfect. Take a look at this curve here from the top down, and you'll see that it's not a single curve, but there's a dark sort of flat. It's almost, you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's a little bit of torn grain, actually. That's like
I'm talking about the actual line. The line, there's an error. It's very subtle. My point is he doesn't fuss over something. He just turns that, and it's okay. It's actually a positive thing because it makes it And on the other side of this issue, Dell stuff is perfect, but it's also not fussy. It's got a graceful perfection to it, you know?
Show us that little Dell box. That's one of the most beautiful objects I've ever seen.
This, I am proud to say, I bought when I found Dell at a San Francisco craft show. And he gave me so many things. I wanted to buy one, and I bought this for $40.
Let's see the bottom
This,
and the top.
before we go into the inside, this has a little return here. Can you see that?
Yeah. Oh,
at
yeah.
the edge. Is the background confusing? It's hard to.
It's okay. We're good. The main thing is try not to wave it around so much. Try and just hold it still if you can.
Okay,
and the bottom. See the chatoyance on the side there too. Yeah, coming around here.
The bottom has a nice broad foot.
See, I never understood quite how he did that, but I'm going to try and figure it out now.
And of course, a little return to the foot. With the detailing here is so consistently in proportion. Yale University in the wood turnings from 1930 or something, that catalog has a Dell Stubbs box like this, and this one's better.
Open it up now. Let's see what the inside. So it's recurved under the rim there. Is that right? Yep.
Yes, it is recurved.
And there's a little wee bead there.
Yes.
That little wee bead.
This was if I put my thumbnail here, you can see that there is a bead at the top, and that is entirely purposeful for mechanical reasons. Dell pointed out that since you cannot put glued on reliably parallel to the surface all the time, a bead allows you to put it on a little crooked and it doesn't grab. It actually can hear the air coming out of it because.
And again, the wall on that is about a 16th thick, isn't it?
I think it's thicker than.
Maybe a little thicker.
It's hard for me to look at the camera and see things.
Yeah.
This is more than a 16. Yeah. No, this is not tiny thin. This has got some. It's actually not parallel fully. This is a little bulbous here in thickness.
Beautiful little thing.
And this is almond wood. Dell was living in Chico, California at the time, and he loved working from the orchards.
Okay. We're up to 10 minutes now.
Okay.
So you got 10 minutes to show us whatever else you'd like to show us.
This is some student work. About 4 years ago, I finished teaching first at Burlington College, writing, and then I transitioned to Vermont Woodworking School, which became a part of Burlington College. And well, actually, these are not these three pieces are student work there. And I bought these pieces to basically encourage people. This is not a turn piece. This is a carved piece from a burl. This is one is a standard kind of challenge piece that students did to, I forget what they call this. Is there a name that comes to mind for you?
No.
It's not the greatest. It's kind of a utilitarian looking form there. It's kind of boxy, I guess. Yeah. And then, well, then maybe it's supposed to be boxy because of the.
What?
A square natural edge winged bowl.
There you go.
What was the last before Lord bowl bleed?
A square natural edge winged bowl.
Winged. Got it.
Bowl.
Got it. Yeah, because it's flying when it's on the leg.
We should go to the spoons. If we're going to look at spoons.
Okay.
Let's do it.
One more. This is just a really nice piece.
That is a nice
sweetheart of a student. Matt Donnelly. Really, he found himself at the lathe. He was on his way to becoming a really good woodworker.
We teased him about that foot, but we still like the bowl a lot.
Yeah, well, everybody was figuring out feet at that time. These are two of my hand carved bowls, sassafras, live edge kind of thing, and this is
that's a Swedish style bowl.
Poplar, yeah, it's a dough bowl.
Dough
kind of
bowl,
thing.
yeah.
Come
on for
the spoons. Okay,
let's do spoons.
These
we still have we're down to 49 on screen, so we lost somebody, but that's pretty typical.
These are my spoons. I probably have made at least twice as many as this and given them away. So the what I have left are things that I really like and haven't been able to give away and need to kind of use as references or pieces that are not quite as good as. My teacher was Ville Sundqvist, a Swede who died a few years ago. I met him at country workshops in the 1980s on assignment at Taunton Press. Well, first of all, I'll show you a quick, this was a Fine Woodworking early article. It wasn't quite a back cover, John. It was like an inside back cover.
Yeah.
Richie Starr wrote on Dan Dustin, who was in New Hampshire carving spoons, I don't know, with his teeth.
Pretty much.
Very primitive kind of approach to things. And he wanted the spoon to speak to him. We thought it was just a weird thing and we published it and it got some good response. But later on, and I had made some spoons of my own. This was one of my first spoons before I met Billy. It started out with the concept of a clamshell as a bowl. And then I wanted to put a handle on a clamshell. I think there's a lot of things wrong with this from my understanding. If you see it gets thin here at here, and this is actually the weakest part of the spoon, and it's where you want some strength. It hasn't broken, and it's you know, but there's a kind of visual weakness there compared to the stock up in here that I notice. And I know I'm wiggling it around. I'm sorry.
That is what it is.
What the response to that is a spoon that is in the Swedish tradition, which is thought through in terms of what the support is. This is one of Billy's spoons. This is very thin here where it touches the mouth and where it's meant to lift food. And it's capacious here, the way you expect a spoon to be, so that you can hold things in it.
And it has that really strong back rib. That's what I noticed.
And in terms of that area of transit, the spoon has three parts. It's got the bowl, it's got a handle, and it's got a stem. And they're each treated differently in terms of thickness and orientation. The handle is thin this way so you can hold it, and it's wide this way. So when something goes thin this way, it goes wide this way. And when it gets thin here, when you want it, it gets wide this way to give good support this way. This doesn't flex there. There's a little flex here at the here.
What do you finish spoons with?
I finish spoons with walnut oil because it's edible and because it's semi-drying. The other thing that I've early learned in the Swedish tradition is the spoon deserves a finial, and the finial is to keep your eye from flying off, as Billy put it. It's also decorated to some extent. You can see that it's chip carved. Now this is left sort of a blank surface here, but another one like it here, yeah, it's pretty elaborate in terms of decoration. This is another one of my teacher's spoons.
I have a question. The angle seems too sharp that when you lift it up to put in your mouth, you're going to poke your eye. Not that one, but an earlier one.
Yes, correct. And so there are different spoons for different purposes. This is more of an eating spoon here. You can see exactly what you're, and this came from a flat piece of wood. The other, and you can see there's a, no, that's, I thought that was a translucency. It's possible to do translucency there to good effect, actually. But you see the basic shape again, that and more flat, as you say. This would be more of a serving spoon, which would allow you to get into something and not hit the rim of the bowl that you were getting into. So it's not so much for eating.
Yeah, that makes sense now. Yeah.
Right. This thing can get artistic.
We only got a couple minutes.
Just want to show
get to the best ones.
This is one of my favorite spoons. It is basically purposefully unpurposeful.
Yeah, you couldn't use that for much.
No, you couldn't use it, but it's basically an abstract spoon in that it's got a bowl and a stem, and it follows the grain. It sort of came out of the wood. This is another one that goes in a different direction.
Well, that's a useful spoon.
And it's curved in this direction, so you can get at things. And what I love about this is one of my first spoons while I was not paying attention to the fact that I had the pith in here from a branch, and it cracked. And I thought, oh, well, it's no good now. And Billy looked at it and put a patch in there, a wedge, to heal.
Wow.
And it's a right-handed spoon.
And it's a right-handed spoon.
Uh-huh. Yes,
and it's a treasure to me to know that
you're too close to camera.
He had sort of healing hands. He would look at all the work he did on something and salvage it. This is totally different now. This is another Swedish maker, architect Bengt Lidström.
That's a gorgeous.
And he was retired, and he had made his career in architecture, salvaging old 100-year-old farm buildings and refurbishing them. And in his own home, he had all the beams in his house carved like this, overhead. There's a video, it's free online. If you look for it, Google Bengt Lidström, Lidstrom, and it is the video with that we did I did with Drew Langsner at Country Workshops. We spent a week there, and the translator for that tape was Billy's son. This was a gift from Billy.
Beautiful piece. Lovely little piece.
This is just looks like a nutshell. Yeah, go ahead.
It holds your fingers. It's got two little places for your fingers and a little place for your thumb. Just a gorgeous thing. What was that question?
Oh, by the way, Billy was a turner, and he wrote a book on turning in Swedish that Taunton Press translated and published, and that's probably still available.
Probably somewhere.
Carvings. No, that's Carving Swedish Woodware.
Yeah. Anyway, this is just an exquisite little object. I just love it. And we're up to 11 o'clock. Let's go back to a gallery view, if you wouldn't mind. Yeah. Thank you very much, Rick. Really appreciate you giving us the time and taking over your living room with all this stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I surely did.
What was the name of the video?
Which one?
The
one you just referred to from Lidström.
Yeah.
It's I would just Google Lidström carving video.
You'd get it.
It's free. And also take a look at 2 days in the workshop of Rudy Kohler, Swiss Cooper, which we also made with Drew in Switzerland. It's one of the best things I did with video ever.
John,
and thank you all.
John, could you spell some of those names in your when you do this write up and put the video out for us? Could you?
Yes, I will. I'll get them. I'll get all of these names in there, and then any refs that Rick gives me, I'll get them in either in the email or in the YouTube blurb.
Yeah, we can do links.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, just before you go, can I show you those cups I made?
You might as well. We're all here. Sure. Put the spotlight on. There he goes. There you go.
Very nice.
Wow. With a captive ring. Another little one.
So you're in there for these teeny tiny things too, but I don't think your stems are as slender as the one Dell made.
It is. This one's down to the 16th
What did you carve out the vessel? How'd you do the end thing? The
vessel?
The cup. How'd you do the cup?
Oboe nail.
What? An oboe?
An oboe nail. Masonry nail.
Oh, nail. Okay, gotcha.
Nail.
And the last one, I don't know if I can show you.
You want to get in front
Did
of the
you
camera?
see that?
No, you got to hold it up into the camera.
Right in front of your
We're not on
face.
camera. Get in front of your face. And closer to your face too. You're too far over. Yeah. Okay.
Centerpiece goes in and a finial.
Up higher. Yeah.
Ah.
And then the piece goes inside.
Box within a box.
Ah,
Now there you go. Rings within rings. Thank you all, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you next week.
Good to see you, Rick Mastelli.
okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Enjoyed this. Yep.
Very nice.
I sure did too. Thanks a lot, guys. See you all next
That was
week.
an education. Thank you.
Wood shop. Thank God for wood.